I thought we were soulmates until he asked for an open relationship right before our wedding. I've replayed that conversation in my head 1,000 times since it happened. The moment when everything changed. When the excitement of planning our wedding turned into something I never saw coming. The moment my fiancé, the man I'd been planning a future with for years, looked me in the eyes and asked for an open relationship. Weeks before our wedding. It was a warm evening, and we were sitting on the couch in our apartment, going over the final details for the wedding. The invitations had been sent out, the venue booked, the flowers chosen. Everything was falling into place, and I was finally starting to breathe easier after months of stress. I remember feeling happy, content, excited for what was coming. I thought we were on the same page, that we were both counting down the days until we became husband and wife. But that night, as we sat there together, he dropped a bombshell I never expected. "I've been thinking," he started, his voice hesitant, like he was choosing his words carefully. "About us. About the wedding." I looked at him, confused. "What do you mean? Is something wrong?" He paused, and in that pause, my stomach twisted with the first hint of anxiety. I could feel something heavy in the air, something unsaid that was about to come crashing down between us. "It's not that something's wrong," he said slowly. "It's just, I've been thinking a lot lately about what it means to be married, to commit to one person for the rest of your life. And I've been wondering if that's what I really want." I blinked, trying to process what he was saying. "What do you mean? You don't want to get married?" "No, I do," he said quickly. "I love you. I want to marry you. But I've been thinking, maybe we should consider something different. Something that gives us both more freedom." "Freedom?" I repeated, my heart starting to race. "What kind of freedom are you talking about?" He looked at me, his eyes searching mine like he was hoping I'd understand what he was about to say. "An open relationship," he said softly. "I think we should have an open relationship." I stared at him, my mind reeling. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. An open relationship? Just weeks before our wedding? It felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. "You're joking, right?" I asked, hoping that this was some kind of bizarre test, that he would laugh and tell me it was all a misunderstanding. But he didn't laugh. He didn't smile. He just looked at me, serious and steady. "I'm not joking," he said. "I've been thinking about this for a while now. I love you, and I want to spend the rest of my life with you. But I also think that being with one person forever, it's a lot. And I think we could both benefit from some freedom. From being able to explore things with other people while still being together." My hands were shaking, and I didn't know what to say. This wasn't the man I thought I was marrying. This wasn't the life I had imagined for us. I had never once considered the possibility of an open relationship. I had always thought we were on the same page: monogamy, commitment, loyalty. That's what marriage meant to me. That's what I thought it meant to him too. "How long have you been thinking about this?" I asked, my voice shaky. "A few months," he admitted. "I didn't want to bring it up before because I didn't want to stress you out with the wedding planning. But I think it's important that we talk about it now, before we get married." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Months? He had been thinking about this for months, and he was only bringing it up now? I felt like I had been blindsided, like the man I had known and loved for years had suddenly become a stranger. "Do you even want to marry me?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "Yes," he said quickly, reaching for my hand. "I love you. I want to marry you. This doesn't change that. I just think that being open could help us avoid some of the problems that come with long-term relationships. You know, like boredom, resentment. I want us to stay happy together, and I think this could help." I pulled my hand away from his, my heart pounding in my chest. "Boredom? Resentment? Is that how you see our future?" He looked at me, his expression softening. "I didn't mean it like that. I'm just being realistic. A lot of couples struggle after being together for a long time, and I don't want that to happen to us. I want to keep things fresh, to make sure we're both happy." I stood up, needing to put some space between us. My mind was spinning, and I couldn't make sense of what he was saying. The man I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with was standing in front of me, asking for permission to sleep with other people. And he was framing it like it was some kind of gift, like it was for my benefit as much as his. "Do you want to be with someone else?" I asked, my voice trembling. He hesitated, and in that hesitation, I had my answer. "There's no one specific," he said finally. "But I think it's natural to want to explore, to have different experiences. It doesn't mean I don't love you, or that I don't want to be with you. I do. But I also think it's possible to love someone and still be curious about other people. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The man who had proposed to me, who had promised to spend the rest of his life with me, was standing here, just weeks before our wedding, telling me that he wanted to keep his options open, that he wanted to be with me, but also with other people. It felt like a betrayal, like the future I had imagined for us was crumbling before my eyes. I can't do this, I said, shaking my head. I can't marry you if this is what you want. Please don't say that, he said, his voice pleading. I don't want to lose you. I love you, and I want to be with you. This is just something I thought we could talk about, something we could figure out together. There's nothing to figure out, I said, my voice rising. You want an open relationship, and I don't. I thought we were on the same page about what marriage means, but clearly, we're not. He reached for me again, but I stepped back, my heart breaking. Please, he said, his voice desperate. Don't throw everything away over this. We can find a compromise. There is no compromise, I said, my voice firm. I can't be in an open relationship. That's not who I am. And it's not what I want. I thought I knew what we were building together. But now, I don't know anymore. The silence between us was heavy, filled with the weight of everything unsaid. I could see the panic in his eyes, the realization that he had miscalculated, that he had pushed too far. But it was too late. The damage was done. I need some time, I said finally, my voice trembling. I need to think. He didn't say anything as I walked out of the apartment, my heart racing, my mind spinning. I didn't know where I was going, I just knew I needed to get away, to clear my head, to figure out what I was going to do. The days that followed were some of the hardest of my life. I stayed with a friend, trying to make sense of everything that had happened. I wanted to believe that we could work through this, that somehow, we could find a way back to the life we had been planning together. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that the man I thought I knew was not the man I was marrying. He had changed. Or maybe I had just never seen this side of him before. Either way, the future I had envisioned for us was gone. In the end, I called off the wedding. It was one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make. But I knew it was the right one. I couldn't marry someone who didn't share the same values, who didn't see commitment the way I did. An open relationship wasn't something I could ever accept. And I wasn't willing to compromise on something so fundamental to who I was. He tried to convince me to change my mind. But I knew that if I stayed with him, I would never be happy. I would always be wondering if he was with someone else. Always feeling like I wasn't enough. And that wasn't the life I wanted for myself. The weeks after the breakup were a blur of sadness and confusion. I had been planning to spend the rest of my life with this man. And now, suddenly, I was alone, trying to figure out how to rebuild my life without him. It felt like a part of me had been ripped away. Like the future I had been so sure of was now nothing more than a distant memory. But over time, I started to heal. I started to realize that calling off the wedding had been the right decision. That I had saved myself from a life that wouldn't have made me happy. I had always thought that love was about compromise. But some things like trust, loyalty, and commitment couldn't be compromised. Looking back now, I can see that the man I almost married wasn't the right person for me. I wanted a partner who believed in the same things I did, who saw marriage as a sacred bond between two people. And while it hurt to lose him, it would have hurt even more to lose myself in a relationship that wasn't true to who I was. I don't know if he ever found the open relationship he was looking for. And honestly, I don't care. I'm at peace with the decision I made. And I know that one day, I'll find someone who shares my values, who wants the same kind of love and commitment that I do. But for now, I'm just grateful that I listened to my heart, that I didn't settle for something that wasn't right for me. Because sometimes, the hardest decisions are the ones that save you in the end.